What's up, what's up, what's up? Alright, next build is Bandai 172 scale TIE Fighter. Obviously the TIE Fighter is iconic. Every ship in Star Wars is iconic, and I like all of them. So let's get it. As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sprues that make up the ship. Got the 2 solar panels. You got a standing pilot and a sitting pilot. Your 2 pieces for the solar panels, and then the rest is the main interior, and then you also have the option of the clear pieces if you choose to put those in. So I'm going to start prepping these, get them clean, get them trimmed, and get them prepped for primer. Okay, I've got all my pieces prepped for priming. They've all been trimmed and sanded after I washed everything. I did do some sub-assemblies. This piece here where the pilot seat goes into the back of that base, I glued. And then the front part where the controls are, I also glued those 2 pieces together. Everything else is still separate. I've got them all on my rods. I don't remember if I've shown this before, but all I have is just a cut piece of 2x4 that I drew 1-inch squares on, and then I drilled with, I can't remember the size of the drill, but obviously it's a little bit bigger than what my rods are, so that they slide right in and they hold. And it's probably about 3/4 deep. That way it's really good and sturdy, and it'll hold my rods. And then I just take them off, spray it, and then put it back in to let it dry. And the primer I'm going to use for these is the big bottle for the Vallejo Surface Primer Black. I'm not going to spray the solar panels because they're already black, so I'm going to coat them with a dull coat, and if I don't like the way that looks, I may put a satin over top just to give it a little bit of sheen. I finished priming all my pieces. I did take the 2 little gun turret pieces here and I glued them to this main body, the front half, before I primed it. And I did take a little drill bit, a micro drill bit. These I got a couple of years ago. This is a number 72. This is a number 72, and it's a it will fit in a chuck, but it's really thick. They're really made for just using your fingers to screw the holes in. So I did do that. So I'm gonna try to light this, but this is smaller than the snow speeder and there's not any space, but I'm still gonna prep as if I'm going to be able to do it, which would be the front lasers, and then the 2 ion engines in the back, which are red, and then I'm going to try to put some sort of light inside the cockpit so it at least shows up, probably from the bottom, shows the pilot and stuff like that, just to get a little bit of interest on the inside. But I'll figure all that out once I get there. When I get done priming, what I usually do is I'll take my reference and then I'll go through and I'll do little paint swatches of the different colors of paints that I'm thinking of using. This is actually the color I used for my Batman, which is almost exact to the color of the reference that I've got, that I'm looking on my monitor right now. And then there are some darker blue panels, which this is too dark, so I'm going to lighten it up a little bit with this color. And then there are little bitty parts that have the light gray on it. And I'll probably also use the medium sea gray for the front inside the cockpit, and then the ring around it, the cockpit on the outside, I'll use one of these, either the black gray or the German gray or the dark gray blue. But I'll make that decision after I get most of the color on the body to see which kind of looks better and matches the photo. Okay, I've painted my pieces. Painted the light colors first with my Batman gray. I did wind up darkening it just a little bit, but not a whole lot. Just kind of, I wanted a little more gray in it, so what I did is I took the Model Air dark gray blue, and I probably put in about 10 drops, mixed it, and then I think I put 5 more in and mixed it just to get a little bit darker than what it was. Then I went and sprayed the front inside of the cockpit here. I painted that with Model Air light gray. And then the front canopy I painted with Model Air medium sea gray. And then the inside of the cockpit, the seat and the controls and all that, I painted with the Model Air dark gray blue. Now I'm going to put the solar panels together, and on the back there are 2 tabs in the middle. One's bigger than the other. That'll help you orient it onto the solar panel. And then on the stems here, there's 1 peg here. There's 2 holes, but 1 peg is closer on the outside, one it's on the other side and it's further away. So this makes it so that you can't screw it up when you put it together. And then you put all the little side pieces on. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back and show you what they look like. Okay, I've glued everything to the solar panels. I don't know if you can see this. I dropped this one, so I've got a real good dent here, so that's going to become some battle damage. You will have to glue the corners here, all the corners, because you'll have to push them together and glue them right at that spot. I used what I always usually use, which is the Ambroid Pro Weld. But if I thought about it, what you need to do is maybe use some super glue or some other glue and put some glue underneath these rungs first before you snap everything into place, and then clamp it so it holds down close. So once I put the dull coat or the satin finish, probably the dull coat, on top, a lot of it you're not going to see any more of the little glue marks that the Ambroid makes, because it is a weld, so it does melt plastic. But there is going to be some battle damage on this TIE Fighter, so I'll make it all work in the end. Hey, I want to do a little quick test fit. Nothing's in the cockpit or anything, but these Bandai kits are really great kits. Really good detail. The way the pieces fit together is almost 100% dead on. It's just, these are great kits. And this is going to look really cool. Hopefully I can figure out how to get some light in it, and then it'll look even better. Okay, I'm messing with some fiber optics here to see if I can actually light this kit. So as I mentioned earlier, I drilled out the holes for the gun turrets, and what I have here some 0.5 millimeter fiber optics, and these are clear fiber optics. So I did mushroom the tip so it won't pull through. Took a brush pen, which, as you can see, has a little brush tip, and I went inside the gun turrets where the holes are so it would be black. So I'll pull these through, and I have a green LED hooked up here, a 3 millimeter. So it gives me my green lights for my laser turrets. On the back of the main body, I've drilled out the holes in the back here for the ion engines, which are red. And the back of the cockpit housing, which fits in like so, is really tight. There is not a lot of room in there. So what I'm going to use, if I can get this back out of here, is I'm going to use an SMD. And this probably looks like just 2 wires, but there's actually a light at the end of those 2 wires. Let me hook that up and then I'll show you. Okay, I've hooked this up to a coin battery because there's not a resistor on this SMD. But you can see that there is a light, and it's a very tiny light. It's probably about the size of the head of a pin, of a straight pin. But this is enough light to be able to go through these 2 little holes on the back. I'll have one for each side, and the wire's thin enough that I'll be able to glue it in place and run the wires along the inside curve of the body, and it won't interfere with the outside curve of the cockpit. So let me see if I can get this set in here so you can see what it looks like. Now I just have it taped in here with a little piece of blue painter's tape. But you can see just how bright that little SMD is. Now these are 0402 white 12 volt SMDs, and I will put a link into the website where I get these. This is HDA modelworx. Jerry, he's a really good guy. He's been a member of sci-fi model action community for quite a while, and a lot of us get our lighting supplies from him. He also has some kits and regular LEDs. He's got a lot of good stuff. Like I said, I'll put the link in the description, and he ships very quickly, and he's a really nice guy. I totally recommend using him for a source. But the other thing I'm going to try to do is I'm taking a piece of 0.75 fiber optic, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mushroom the tip, and then I'm going to cut off, leaving just a little bitty peg, and I'm going to insert that into these holes so it'll help diffuse it. Of course, I'm going to paint it with the Tamiya clear red first, because these need to be red, and then I'm going to glue that in there. Then I will turn around and glue in the SMD to the back on both sides, and then I'll be able to wire them up, and I'll have red lights for my ion engines. You can see on the tip here I put some Tamiya X27 clear red, and then I hung it upside down so that the drip would create a bubble. So now that it's dry, put it in the back and see if we get some red ion engines. Okay, I got my SMD on, so we'll just set the fiber optic over top. best I can. There, get our red ion engine. This is gonna work. I'm starting to paint the details on the main body here. The color I'm using for this darker blue is the Model Air UKPRU blue. It's a little darker than what I wanted, so I'm going to leave these, lighten it some, and then continue on with the rest of the blue parts. The brush I'm using is it's a small brush. I've showed this brush before, and it doesn't have any marking on it as to the size, so I can't tell you what size brush it is. But it's a thin brush, but it's got long enough hair on it to be able to hold some paint so it doesn't dry out too fast. Also, I'm sure you guys have already heard that Revell has made Disney enforce their North American contract, so all international distributors of Bandai kits have been ordered to cease and desist selling Bandai kits to North America. Obviously everybody's going to have their own opinion on it, and so do I, but we all know this is all about the money. It has nothing to do with making customers happy. And for me, I want a kit that's as close to screen accurate as possible. I don't really want a toy, which is what Revell has a tendency to produce, which is fine because it's good for small kids and it gets them into the modeling world. But as far as the rest of us that have been doing it for a while, we want as close to accurate as possible. That's the reason why we model, why we do these kits. So a lot of guys are banning Revell. They're not going to buy any of their kits, and it's going to cost us more to get the Bandai kits because they won't be able to stop us from buying them because you can't stop the internet. So the choice is yours as to what you want to do. I am not going to buy the Revell Star Wars kits because I'm going to need that money to pay extra for the other Bandai kits that are coming out, because I am going to get the other Bandai kits. They're superior kits, way superior, above Revell. So anyway, I don't like to rant, but I just wanted everybody to get the news. So if you wonder why all of a sudden you're not getting any Bandai kits after this month, it's because of Revell. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for subscribing, and we'll see you for part 2.